The Indian community in the U.S. is the largest earning ethnic group. We all are involved in AI and ML. Let me ingest some data here and be a machine learning engine here. So many of you work in big data. What do you think is the correlation between what you do here and the fact that you're the largest earning ethnic group in the U.S.? Do you think there's a correlation? Can some of you please work in the government and stop this forgiving of student debt and do this instead, please? Would anybody like to support that? What a great hand up instead of hand out, the circle of giving. Another hand for Ram and for Sudhal. Phenomenal. I'm serious. I love that idea. That's a great self-sustaining program where you bring somebody along and you help the next generation. We could learn so much in this country. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, is our surprise guest here. Oh, I'm getting Beyonce's not here. We have somebody even better. Ladies and gentlemen, we have somebody even better than Beyonce. Are you ready?
She talked about it so eloquently. Said, you supported us, we supported us.
Did you eat too much of the gulab or whatever it was? Come on, people. I'm trying here. I'm even trying to pronounce the names right. Give me a break. Okay, now. But ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I introduce to you for our wonderful keynote speech, somebody we all know and very love. Let me tell you a little bit about my good friend, Dr. Prabhu Goel.
That's what's really happening on the ground.
Dr. Prabhu Goel is an Indo-American researcher, entrepreneur, and businessman known for spearheading the development of the Verilog hardware description language and associated simulation products at his first startup, Gateway Design Automations, of which I'm very familiar. Verilog is now an IEEE industry standard for hardware design and verification, and I have personally written many models in the Verilog language, and sometimes they work. That's not him, that's me. Those damn semicolons, I'll tell you. Among awards, Prabhu received the President's Gold Medal at IIT Kanpur, the IBM Corporate Award for Outstanding Innovation, the 2003 IEEE Industrial Pioneer Award for his work on design modeling and design verification through Verilog and Verilog-based design, and the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award in 1989 from Massachusetts. Prabhu and his wife, Poonam, where is she? Where's Poonam? Is she here? Where is she? She's over there. That's how they stay married that long. They sit at different tables, okay? I'm just saying. Again, I'm just here to observe, people. I'm just here to observe. Prabhu and his wife, Poonam, were recently inducted into the top 100 Indian philanthropists list by Indiaspora. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Help me welcome the founder of FFE, Dr. Prabhu Goel.
Thank you, Jeff. That was a very warm introduction. Well, good evening, everyone. You know, I feel humbled to be standing over here today in front of all of you as we celebrate this 30th anniversary of the Foundation for Excellence. You know, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you, because you have supported the cause of this mission. Still louder, okay? You know, that's why we succeed. And you have believed in the empowerment of education, what education does to empower the talented and the bright students. You have believed in that, and you have helped FFE thrive. So there's nothing but tremendous gratitude on my side to each and every one of you for making that possible. Tonight, we're not just celebrating an organization, we're actually celebrating a movement of change. You saw a lot of that change on the screen. A movement of hope, and a movement of empowerment that all of you have helped fuel. Every single one of you. This could not have happened without your help. As we look over the 30 years that have gone by, FFE has had the privilege of supporting tens of thousands of students who were bright and talented, but came from underprivileged backgrounds. They could not afford their own education. These students have now become engineers, doctors, researchers and leaders in their field. They have broken the barriers, the shackles that bound them because of the inheritance that they had, the families that they got born into. It was not their choice. And having done that, they have lifted their families out of poverty. Every single one of the students that you see over there, they talk about buying clothes for their parents, they talk about buying houses. Built houses for their parents and so on. That's what they do right away as they get into a job. Their successes are an embodiment of what we all believe, that talent knows no boundaries. And that's what we see here. None of this would have been possible without your generous support as well as your commitment. You have been more than donors. You have actually believed in this cause. You have been partners, and you have been champions for change. And that means a lot to us. You have not only just funded the education of these scholars, but you have also helped them break the barriers that they felt. You've let them soar the dreams that they have. And finally, you've helped them to inspire others in their community to use them as role models so others can succeed as well. The ripple effect of your support is immeasurable. I think you saw the ripple effect being talked about very effectively by Maitri, that she's the Indigo pilot, by the way. She was a software engineer, then she became an Indigo pilot. So she really believed in flying. Right? And so she talked about it so eloquently, said, you supported us, we support others, they support others, and it's a ripple effect. Another scholar that I met in Bangalore on this trip in the summer said to me, Prabhu, you guys don't get it. You just plant trees. Those trees plant others, give off their seeds, and other trees happen. Then those other trees plant more, and ultimately those trees make themselves into a forest. That's what's really happening on the ground. We could not capture the words from one of the scholars over there, the third one to the right, the far one to the right, when there were just three of them, the two girl scholars and one student who was a guy. He's from VMware. Unfortunately, the audio of what he was saying was not clear enough, so we could not use it here. He ran a campaign inside VMware where they raised 1.5 crores inside VMware. That's giving back. So thousands of people have collaborated and contributed in various ways to the work of FFE. And they've worked very hard, worked very effectively. All of you donors are volunteers, our alumni scholars, our students who are actually studying, our NGO partners, and our FFE team in Bangalore. I think you've heard enough about the FFE team in Bangalore. I fully endorse every single thing that Sudha said about that team. I could not find a better team in a startup in the US than what we have in India. They're that committed. This team is managing over 16,000 alumni, over 16,000 current scholars, thousands of donors, hundreds of corporations, large number of NGOs, working on their skilling programs for each of the scholars, and managing the accounting, the compliance, and all of that with 40 people. How much more efficient can we get? A huge shout out to Sudha and Ram, our leaders in India. And I would be remiss if I did not have a shout out for another leader in the US. Where's Anil? Anil? These are the people that make it happen. We just happen to make the show happen. How did this start? In 1990, when we sold our first company, the one you heard about, we suddenly had more money than we knew what we were going to do with. We had no need for that much money for our lives, and certainly for our next couple of generations, we did not need that either. So the thought that came to us, what are we going to do with this wealth? Are we going to splurge it, or are we going to do something meaningful with it? And it became evident to us that those choices did exist, but we started to think about our wealth more taking into account the fact that we came empty-handed and we were going to leave empty-handed. So that wealth sitting in our hands was actually something for which we were custodians. It did not really belong to us. And the best way to know whether we did effective utilization of that wealth was what we did with that wealth and how we used it to help others. That is what started this foundation as we thought about what we were going to do with it. And I just want to make sure I don't miss some of the key points. Thank you, my sweetheart. So one very interesting thing I learned afterwards, and this was I think like 5-6 years ago. There's a very inspiring philanthropist, many of you might have heard his name, a guy called Chuck Finney. Anybody heard of him? Yes? Oh my God. You should really read up about Chuck Finney. He's a man who Warren Buffett and Bill Gates actually go do pilgrimage. We used to do pilgrimage to his house. He contributed his entire wealth of $8 billion to charity. And he did it while he was living. He kept $2 million of it for himself so that he could have proper clothes and some transportation and a place to rent. He just died last year. But I'll tell you some things that he said that I thought are very, very educational. He said, I had one idea that never changed my mind, that you should use your wealth to help people. He also said, it's a lot more fun to give while you're alive than to give while you're dead. Okay? A lot of us end up leaving wills with money going to charity after we're gone. What's the point? You don't get to see the payoff. So anyway, Poonam and I, we decided that we were going to make a difference, a transformative difference in the lives of 10,000 children. And we made a commitment amongst a party that we were having with friends so that we were on the hook. We could not escape that commitment. And then we moved to California very quickly after that and started to socialize the idea of how about we fund the education, the engineering and medical education of these scholars who are very bright and talented but can't afford that education on their own. That was what we started to gravitate towards. We socialized that in Silicon Valley, and lo and behold, there were enthusiastic fellow travelers that said, hey, we're on the journey. And there it started. In 1994, FFE started, and what a treat it has been since. Now I'd like to do a shout out for one of our donors and dear friends, Vinod Bharadwaj, who showed incredible courage in sharing his life struggles with the audience over here in 2018. He was the keynote speaker, and he's had incredible success in his life, but the struggles were also incredible. So following in his giant footsteps, I will show some minuscule courage and share some of my struggles. He inspired me to do that because we never do that. When we become successful, we kind of act like we've always been successful and been bigger than life. So these have a lot to do with your not being from a well-to-do family, which is where I came from. And Man, Vinod, you did it much better. At the age of 12, I was forced to leave my school because the bullying became unbearable. The school would not ask the bully to leave, but asked the bullied to leave because we were not as well-to-do. At the age of 15, the principal of this prestigious government intermediate college in Allahabad expelled me from his school. And we did not have the influence to reverse that decision. I was in the intermediate science. I had just finished senior Cambridge in a parallel track, had given a board exam. I was no reason to give the first year exam. I went instead to do my interview at the National Defense Academy where I had passed the written exam. Fortunately, I didn't go to become an Army officer. But this principal decided that even though previous rules allowed a senior Cambridge graduate to go straight into the 12th grade, he decided he would not want me there. So I had to leave. So I joined another school that was local, not so prestigious. And the good news is, that year, the not so prestigious school had topped the district in the board exam. Oh, I was so happy. At the age of 16, I was literally made to move to the back of the bus. Literally, I was told. What happened in Alabama and so on here, I was kind of told that. It's a very embarrassing story. I've never shared it with my family, doesn't know it. So I was visiting Uttarakhand, and my granduncle was a high enough official over there. I was just visiting him during the summer vacation in 1965. And it so happened that a top dignitary of the UP government was coming with his family to Uttarakhand, and he had a whole entourage. He was going to visit Kedarnath, Badrinath, all of those places. And my granduncle said, hey, why don't you join these guys and you'll enjoy the trip, it'll be beautiful. That was fantastic for me. And the dignitary had a son of my age, and we got along very well together. And I think that worked out beautifully until some junior level staff figured out that my dad was a lowly government official, not becoming of hanging around with this boy. The next thing you knew, I was put in the back of the caravan with people of my level. That left an indelible impression in my mind. And it is that wealth should not be the way people treat each other, your levels of wealth. On the other hand, I have been the beneficiary of taxpayers' money for my education in India and donors to my graduate school in the US that helped me break those barriers and to seek change through FFE. I've had many anonymous donors that I'm grateful for because they funded my education. My parents could not have funded what I went through. Finally, I have to say, there's a very famous Jewish philosopher. He's considered to be the greatest Jewish philosopher of the Middle Ages. He says there are 8, his name is Maimonides. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly. Jeff? Maimonides, perfect. So he said, there are 8 levels of charity. The highest is when you strengthen a man's hand until he need no longer be dependent upon others. I think we can add a 9th level of charity. As we say, you strengthen a woman's hand. Anita, would you agree with a woman's hand being strengthened? Yeah, where's Anita? Yeah. Strengthen a woman's hand until she need no longer be dependent on others and can strengthen the hand of others. I think that's what FFE scholars do. Thank you.